All right, we are live. We're back. This is Rediscovering Black Conservatism. We're here with a very special guest. I'm just waiting for people to tune in. I'm with the third. How you?
How you doing? It is going a little bit in and out. Of course, now that we're going live, when we practiced it, it sounded perfect in the sound check. And now, of course, the signal's going just a little bit in and out. So I want to let you know that just in case you hear a lag.
Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. I can hear you now.
Perfect.
You got it.
Perfect.
Hold on. All right, man. So yeah, we're back. We're here with Andrew Parker the third. He's running for freeholder in New Jersey. Like I said, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Campaign trail, you know how campaigns are. You either love them or you don't love them. And that's just what it is. So you learn to deal with things. There are good days, there are bad days, but all in all, as long as it's a positive campaign, it's positive energy, then all is well.
Right. For everybody, watching, please support my channel. Please support good content. If you want to donate, you can hit my Cash App at Cash DTS 8686. Please donate and just keep us going. Like I said, this show basically is about local politics because everybody knows local politics affects us in our daily life more than federal politics, and
Absolutely.
we're geared toward showing how black conservatism benefits community and benefits, just the overall outcome. Yeah, we're going to talk today about, how Andrew Parker the third is helping his community out. So talk to us a little bit about your economic development plan.
Well, listen, first and foremost, I want to say that by running for Atlantic County Freeholder, I find it's interesting as, a black or conservative Republican or a black conservative or a black Republican, we always seem to have to justify certain things. And depending on the crowd that I'm sitting in or I'm standing in and speaking, I have to, put a disclaimer out there. Whatever we do in governing, we do for all the people, for all the communities. It's not for one community to shine over the other one. It's not, I'm getting in and representing just black people. I'm representing everybody in Atlantic County, every taxpayer in Atlantic County, every business in Atlantic County. So when you start talking about economic development, I think honestly, the conversation starts there, and when you look at, developing a town economically, the best thing that we can do is look at our diversity. Look at what we have in our town, look at the makeup of our town, because that's the makeup of the customers that are in our town, or the people that need services in our town, or the people that are going to be, using these businesses and frequenting these businesses and becoming regulars in that town. So you want to try to market to those folks. So anybody's going to do any business is going to do market research. No matter what we try to do as a government, when we reach out and talk to these businesses, the businesses are going to come back to us and say, listen, they're going to do their own market research to see if their business is viable to be able to fit inside of your town. And if they find that your town is a good fit, then the conversation goes into how do we make that happen and how do we make that relationship work, and it gets into economic development, into planning boards, and then the zoning boards and such. But beforehand, you got to take a look at what makes what makes up that community, and what you think you're going to be able to provide a service that people are going to want, or provide a good that people are going to want, in that area.
Right. Correct. You mentioned something very important that I feel like the people need to know. You mentioned something about the committee board. So can you talk to people who may live in these type of towns but don't understand the importance of a committee board, so people can understand?
One of the first lessons. First, let me say I'm a teacher as well. So, I teach my kids these things, and I'm teaching my kids civics. This is kind of what led me down this road, and I started getting involved inside of our school with different committees and things of that nature. And anybody that's involved in their jobs or anywhere where you're involved in a committee, you guys know, whether it's a committee at work or that's a committee on the volunteering for your kids' cheerleading team or soccer team or football, no matter what that committee is, they pretty much function the same. under Robert's rules. So the main thing I tell folks is if you don't have a seat at the table, then typically you're the meal. So, I mean, that's that's just that's just the way it goes because and I know that may sound negative, but all those of us that have worked on these committees, we know how it goes. It's not that the committees are don't want to hear from the people or not considering the people. I think these committees are doing the best that they can to consider everyone. But at the end of the day, if you're not sitting at that table and you're not doing that research and you're not getting a vote, then you really don't have a say. And so we need to start getting, being more clear about getting representation on each committee, every committee. I don't care what it is. I don't care I don't care if it's trash pickup in your neighborhood. I don't care if it's neighborhood watch. I don't care. If there's a committee, it should be equitably spread out, and the members should be reflective of whatever the demographic looks like in that town.
Right. No, I people know that because I've been looking at social media and I've been looking at a lot of these lives, and they fail to educate people. They want to talk about, the latest gossip. They want to talk about what's going on in federal news, and all of that is right. But this is where it counts, right? Your committee board, as far as your board of education committee.
Absolutely.
People need, and like you said, if you have a seat at the table, then you have to learn how to have a seat at the table so that you can make change, right? Because there's a lot of people don't know how to have a seat at the table, and it's very important for all the people that's watching, so you can learn how do you have a seat at the table, and you can go back and kind of review and see, okay, now I know how this system works. And a lot of things that you mentioned to me that is that's kind of going around in today's society, equity. Can you explain, if to you, how you would hold, what does equity look like to you?
Well, honestly, David, these questions to me, I was on a forum last night, and these questions to me are pretty easy. And one of the things that I kept on going and saying, during the forum last night was that, what it looks like to me is what we're starting to do and seeing happen already in our town. I didn't come onto committee and just, sit back and status quo. The first thing that I did when I got into committee and got myself comfortable, figured out where my desk was, figured out how to key in, went around and spoke to everybody, of course. And then the next thing that I did is I sat down with our police chief, who Ray Davis, at that time, he's now retired. And Ray and I sat down with our township administrator. For those who don't know what the township administrator is, your township administrator or your city administrator is pretty much your hands-on. Now, it goes different with a strong mayor or weak mayor, but that's pretty much your hands-on leader of your town. So if the town is flowing nicely, if you like the way your town is flowing, generally it's because you have a good administrator. Your administrator is the boss of all your, pretty much the boss of all of your department heads, your police chief, your fire chief, your public works director, your recreation director. They all answer to your city administrator. And the city administrator answers to no one except for township committee or city council or your mayors. So that's how the structure works. So I sat down with our township administrator, Peter Miller, and our police chief, first thing in the door, and we started talking equity. I walked in, I said, listen, I want to say one word, and you guys tell me what you think. And I said two words. And so they said, what is it? I said, well, first I said equity, then I said social equity. And then when I said social equity, the police chief, Ray Davis, he rocked back in his chair and he said, you know what? Absolutely. We've been looking into that. And I literally made me take a deep breath because I thought that was something I was going to get pushback on. I thought that was something I was going to have to explain, something I was going to have to fight for. And I really did. And our administrator said, we've been trying to work towards equity in our departments for quite some time now, for the last few years, and we need help with it. I said, well, I'm glad I'm here because maybe I can be some of that help that we need. So from that point forward, we looked at the demographic of Egg Harbor Township and how it's broken down, what percentage of it was, African American, what percentage of it was Asian American, Southeast Asian versus Northern Asian, breaking it down into the demographics, what percentage of it is Hispanic. or what percentage of it is white. And so we looked at all these different demographics or Caucasian. So we looked at all these different demographics, and we got percentages of what our town, a snapshot of what our town looks like. And then we took a look at the police department, and we said, well, how are we doing? Give ourselves a report card on how we're doing. How are we doing based on what our demographic of our town looks like? And we all agreed that we weren't doing as well as we would like to have been doing. And so that was an issue. So we identified a problem, and the good news is we all agreed that we were looking for the same solution. So that was the easy part, and I thought that was going to be the hard part. And then we started putting together strategies on, what organizations that I was a part of already, whether it be NAACP or, any of my fraternal organizations, where we can get the message out to folks and say, listen, we're recruiting police. We're putting up a new test for policing, and we need minority police. We need people from this demographic. We need people from this demographic. And we literally went out to all these different organizations, whether it be the Northern Koreans church. We went to the church service and we talked to the leaders in that community, and we talked to, in the Bangladesh community, and talked to them, and, and asked them to look inside their community and tell us it's their community. Do you guys have anybody that's out there that you think is police material that would like a career in law enforcement?
Right.
And let's get them the information. Let's get them to take the test. Let's get them to pass the test, and then let's start working them into the system so that we can work on, fulfilling, equity within our police department. And so I'm going to tell you, David, honestly, if you look at in the last 2 years of what we've done in Egg Harbor Township, we've hired multiple Hispanics. We've hired females. We've hired promoted African Americans to sheriff within the department. We promoted our first lieutenant, a woman lieutenant, Sherry Bergen, who actually serves a double as the chairperson for our economic development, commission. So this is what I mean, where you can see how things go around, where these opportunities are being created, and then these folks are getting in seats and joining these committees.
Right.
And so these are the people that are moving and driving your community. These are the people that are making decisions in each one of our communities. So it matters who we recruit, and it matters how we train them, and it matters how we get them involved into these civic committees and political committees.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, and I'm gonna say something because I feel like this conversation is very important, and I feel like you're doing things that we've talked about on this show, because I feel like and this is my person, I'm talking to Black Republicans on the internet, and you're saying things that a lot of people are afraid of, especially Black conservatives. Social equity. We can't be afraid of those terms. We got to go in there, like you said, serve on our communities and say, hey, listen, this is what equity looks like, right? We have
Absolutely.
What is the makeup of it? Like you said, how can we get more Hispanics on the educational board? How can we get Blacks on the educational board? See, the thing is that people want transparency, and here on this show, Rediscovering Black Conservatism, that's what we want to push is Black conservative. We need to move towards transparency. We need to let people listen. This is not just a Republican thing. We're fighting for everybody. We don't care if you're a Black Democrat or Black Republican. We want equity across social.
That's right.
And I love that term, and that's where we need to be at. That's when people will start to look at us and say, whoa, you know what? These guys are real. Because we know, you and I know what we're fighting for. We just need to put it out there and let the people see that what you see on the media is not true.
It's not true. It's not true. And we've allowed media to take over certain words, and we know this has happened throughout history, and it continues to happen. And we've let them take over certain words and twist them around, for us. And so equity has always been a conservative term, and equality was a liberal term. And so the argument that I remember growing up going through the 80s and 90s in school, that was the big divide. Republicans and conservatives said they wanted equity, and because equality wasn't a real thing, it was impossible to achieve. It just wasn't a realistic goal. To try to get a 50-50 fold or an equal fold. It's just not going to happen. You're
Right.
going to end up, how do you do that? And so
Right.
they use the word equity. And so now I'm using the word social equity, and I'm using the word, equity with a lot of things. And you're right, it's scaring a lot of conservatives off. And I'm saying to them, listen, it's our word.
Right.
It's our word. I've
True.
listened to it for at least 2 decades of that being a conservative word. So now what I'm not going to do is let it be rebranded to mean something else.
Right.
So equity is a conservative term. It's a conservative word. Until somebody tells me different, I'm going with that. And so when we're looking for equity in these towns, just think it through. If we have economic development booming in any one of our towns, good, positive economic development where the economy is just flourishing. Everybody's has good paying jobs. The schools are doing well. The roads are paved. Crime is down. Recreation's good. Your kids' sports teams are competitive and learning. And I mean, that's the quality of life that everybody wants,
Right.
and everybody's looking for. But it starts with economic development. You got to bring that money in. Whether we like it or not, we need money to pay for these things, in order to make it work, and so you bring in that economic development, and then you spread the economic development and the wealth out. The problem that we've had that Black Americans and minorities have always made was they never had a problem with the prosperity of America. I didn't grow up in the 90s hearing people saying that even in the Black and the minority neighborhoods that they hated that exceptionalism of America. We all loved the superheroes and Captain America and we all watched those movies and we pretended that we were those superheroes or those people. Everybody wants to win and be on top and be the superhero. So everybody wants America to be great, is the point that I'm making. Everybody wants America to be great and thriving. But the argument was always that we were never given or allowed to receive our fair share of the portion of those proceeds.
Right.
And whether we go all the way back to talking about, when Black Americans, or can go back to slavery or whatever you want to talk about, that's the conversation that we need to be able to have courage to talk about. If you want to go back there, we're talking about whether we were given our fair share, whether we were treated right, of course, but whether we were given our fair share for the work we were doing. Free labor, we were working for free. We weren't getting paid right. We weren't getting treated right. We weren't. So that's the argument that always has been budding inside and growing inside of this country in our communities.
Right.
But if things are done equitably, if we encourage that prosperity, that American exceptionalism, but this time around we say, let's do it equitably. Let's intelligently sit down at the table and look at the demographic of these towns and have these intelligent conversations about where we can fit in. Where do we fit in? What percentage do we fit in? What portions of the pie? In terms of contracts, governmental contracts coming in, whether it be, small businesses open up. But we can't force people to open up a business. So minorities and we also have a responsibility to do these things. We gotta want to be business owners. We gotta want to be small business owners. We gotta take those sacrifices and be part of these committees. And if I'll be the first one, if you show me anybody that is attempting to be a part of the system and attempting to grow within the system and deserves a promotion or an opportunity and not getting it, I'll go to the wall and I'll fight for that person all day long. Black, green, white, Chinese, I don't care. Young, old. You show me a situation like that that's happening, and I'll get on the back and I'll defend the person each and every time, because that's what America is supposed to be about. It's the land of opportunity. So I'm supposed to be able to rise to the level of my competence. That's what it means to be American.
Right.
And so if that's not the truth, if that's not the case, then we all have a problem here. We have a marketing problem.
Right.
We have a systematic problem. And so, I think the word equity is one that is not used enough in the right ways.
Right. Right. And everybody needs to see this, because what you're dropping is powerful, because as a conservative, I believe in the Constitution. And I tell people, what the Constitution say? All men should be treated equally under the law. So that's equity. So it don't mean that we're some liberal Republicans that's trying to change the outcome. No, what we're saying is that it's about the starting opportunity. We can't control the outcome, but what we're saying is this: if one town is getting 50 million and another town is getting sucked dry with 3 million. Let's look at it a different way. That's what we're saying. That's what equity is about. Let's look at it from this perspective. If this
Let's take a look at it. That's right.
take a look at it, and I'm starting this new campaign when I speak to people, and it's called community first. That's it. Let's look at the community. Let's look at it first. Like, let's go to the educational school board. Let's go to, like I said, the public works committee, the city administrator. We got, like you said, 40% African American. How can we represent that 40% equitably? We control the outcome, but how can we at least put the representation so everybody can be treated equally under the laws?
That's right.
Let me say something. When you don't have truth, when you don't have transparency, in that vacuum come conspiracy theories. That's
absolutely.
People run around and they say, well, how come they hit up all the time? How Black people always talk about racism? Because if there's no transparency, you leave the vacuum open for people to feel like it's systematic racism. People feel like, so if you want to close the door, let's talk equity. How can we represent the 60%? How can we represent 40%?
Absolutely. The number makes it easy, man. And I guess, I went and I got my master's degree in teaching mathematics, middle school mathematics. I'm more of a numbers person, I'm being told. So, you know the saying that, words lie, but numbers don't.
Right.
People lie, but numbers don't, And so if you look at the numbers, if, like you said, if it's 40%, if that's what that number is, then okay, listen, what I'm not saying is tomorrow we're going to have 40% in every department because you realize that, your town is 40%. No one is saying that kind of host. That's an impossible dream. And there's no fair way of doing that without, firing people that may not deserve to be fired or letting people go. No one's saying any of that extreme. So we understand that that's a carrot that we're not at. And that's something that we're looking to achieve. And, we may never completely get there, based on circumstantial information, circumstantial situations, but we have that benchmark ahead of us so that we can always look ahead and begin with the end in mind and say 40% is what we're looking for. This is what we're working towards. So each time you have a job that comes up in the public works department, you're sitting down, you get a bunch of applicants that come in, and you're in the committees behind the scenes are deciding who they're going to hire and who they're not going to hire and for what reasons and what reasons not. What I'm not saying is that I think that a minority that's underqualified should get that opportunity over somebody that is qualified. I'm never going to support anything like that, because there's no reason. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for us not to be equally qualified. Right. Let's do the work that we need to do to make sure we're qualified, whether that be, starting, testing classes on our own and study sessions on our own within our community, or with at our local lodges or our local churches or, wherever, and say, listen, a police test is coming up. So we're going to have somebody come in here and do a study group with you guys, or, a group, work session with you guys every so often to help prepare you for that test.
Right.
So that when the test comes up, we're not asking for a favor.
Right.
We're actually qualified. I scored number 1, number 2, number 3 on that test, and so now you put the onus on the other side to step up and say, well, listen, if I scored number 1 and I passed all your tests, then why am I not the one hired? Now the onus is on you to tell me why you didn't hire me as a candidate, as opposed to me, trying to convince you that, I need an opportunity, I'm worthy of an opportunity. No, I'm worthy of an opportunity because I scored number 1. I scored number 2 in the physical. I scored so I showed you I'm worthy. Right. And so I think that, we have to be mindful of that as well, too, because, our community, we have prided ourselves in excellence. No matter what conditions we have been given, no matter what our circumstances have been, we have prided ourselves in doing something exceptional. Whether it be creating jazz, it's so many exceptional things that have come out of our community in such, destitute situations. So what I'm not going to do is let the next generation of our kids be raised thinking that it's okay to be mediocre. They don't have to try hard. They don't have to be the best. They can just be status quo and somebody's going to give them an opportunity anyway. That's not the message that I think that is for our kids. I won't teach my students that. I won't teach my kids that. And I'm not gonna govern in that way. So as long as I'm in office, I'm gonna go to our communities and say, here's the information on time, in a timely manner, and here's what we can do to help us to get to that point. So go out to your own communities, no matter what that is, the Hispanic community, Southeast Asian community, go out to your communities, do your own homework, and come back to me with good candidates that I could take to the committee and seriously be considered for this job.
Right.
And seriously be considered for the job. But if I have 50 applicants in front of me from all different communities that are vying for this position, and then we go to the Black community, and I'm just giving this as an example, David. If we go to the Black community, and the person in the Black community has underscored, and I get them the job anyway, what do you think the newspaper is going to read in the morning?
Right. Right.
Well, how do you think that reads for me and my longevity to be able to even help our people or help minorities to get more opportunities? So we have to do things the right way. We have to make change within the system, but the change is there, and the environment is perfect. It's a perfect environment. It's a perfect time for us to decide what it is, our plan is, our strategy is as a community. And I'm not talking, David, I didn't want to go into this because I've been talking a little bit long now, but I'm not talking about political divide. And it's important that we get to that point because, I'm working with all different communities. As you can hear, the Southeast Asians, and you hear me, I keep referencing them, and they're on my mind, constantly, because they're the ones that are really starting to take advantage in our area of the political opportunities. They're really starting to take advantage of, how to understand the system and use the system to work for them in economic development, and opening up gas stations and flipping houses and stores on the boardwalk, and they're organized. They're extremely organized, and it's working for them. It's a model that's set out there of minorities who are making it work for them by working within that system. And so what I want to do, and what I'm attempting to do, is take that same model and same message back to our community and say, here's a model that's working. Look at this model and tell me what it is about this model that you don't
like. Right.
And then we'll go from there. Right. and then we'll go from there. And maybe we change it a little bit. But at the end of the day, it gives us a plan to move forward. And what they do is, I'm gonna tell you, David, they pick up, they split their community a little. You'll go into Atlantic City, small Atlantic City, and the South Asians will have they have a Southeast Asian Republican club and a Southeast Asian Democratic club, and they all come together when it's time to come together in their community and decide what's best for their community. And then they go out to their political affiliations and they lobby for what they say is best, what they're looking for in their community. In both of those, sides or political affiliations. And with us, we're so married to a side, and that speaks to our loyalty and we're a loyal group of people. We are, by nature, we're loyal, and some might say too loyal at times.
Right.
But it's not serving for the best interests of our community at this moment.
Right.
And so we need to take a look at some of these things and say, listen, if we've been doing this since the early 1960s, and we're still not happy with our living conditions here in this country, and I'm talking being a member of the Democrat Party, then maybe giving all of our loyalty to one party in that way is not serving our community in the ways that we wanted to. Right. And when you have other communities out there and other minority groups out there that are doing it different and showing us a model of success, it just makes it hard to ignore, man. It makes it hard to turn a blind eye to that and not find jewels of wisdom, that's hitting all inside of what they're doing.
Right. Just definitely a lot of powerful points. I know we're pressed for time, but I just want to, kind of point this out is that, like you said, about serving our interests. And I do believe that people are starting to look at the Republican side, but they want to hear transparency like what you're doing. And I've told you before, I don't get hung up on terms. I'm the type, I can take a term and turn it around. For example, it's about social justice. Well, to me, social justice means what you're talking about. Basically, for the tools. Like you said, we're not hiring unqualified people. But
that's right.
If we're in a leadership position, right, and somebody comes to us and say, "Hey, listen, I've been trying to start this business. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if somebody's against me." We don't turn them away. We say, "Hey, listen, maybe you're lacking maybe it's something going on the credit side."
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Them. And when you abandon people, they feel this way. So social Republican or Black conservative social justice means we don't abandon the tools and the resources. And if we're in leadership, we make the people look at it differently. Like you said, the first as Black Republicans, anytime we get leadership position, first to say, what does equity look like? And you said, right. And when we start doing that, people, like you said, people will look and they'll say, like for example, and I'm gonna wrap this up. There was a guy on my Facebook. He was talking about bashing me like, oh, Black conservative, Black conservative, that. And on my Facebook post, when we went to do some community work, right? Do you know that up and said, "Oh man, now I wanted a real Black conservative, and I want to go with you to your next event." Because you got to let your work speak for itself.
That's right. That's right.
Let your work speak.
That's right.
People,
that's right.
You know what? To work with this guy because the guys I've been voting for, they just come around on November 3rd. But
that's right.
On September 1st and July 31st.
That's right. That's right. And I keep telling people, I said, when they say, what am I running for in the county? I keep referencing Egg Harbor Township to the point where people say I reference it too much, and I tell them, I said, listen, I'm running on a record. You don't have to ask what I'm running for. I've already shown you what my record is. And we have to start looking at that as well. Like, we let so many politicians get away with things. Like yesterday, they can be one thing and tomorrow they can be something different. And we believe it. And we believe it. We buy that story, and so transparency, you're absolutely right. I'm the guy that's going to pick up the phone. And everybody knows I'm going to pick up the phone. It drives my family crazy. Like even right now, I'm late for a meeting I have to go to. We have a county committee meeting, then we have another meeting. And so, but you called me, you said you wanted me to come on. And I said, listen, let's go, let's get it done. I'm always going to be that person that's willing to pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody. And if I don't claim to have all the answers. I don't claim to be the czar of anything. What I am saying to you is I'm going to tell you the truth, the best that I have. I'm going to give you my truth. I don't care who calls me. If it's a child that calls me, if it's an elderly person that calls me, if it's a white, Black, I don't care. If you call me, I'm going to do my best to give you accurate information that I think can help you. That's right. That's it. That's my job as a representative. And that's my job as an elected official.
And that's all you can do. Hey, listen, man. I know you pressed for time. I want to thank you definitely for coming on. And
yes, sir.
Gonna watch this. I strongly encourage anybody, rewind this, watch it over and over again, and really listen to what we gotta say. Andrew Parker III, freeholder, Egg Harbor
Township.
Township. I'm tongue tied, but
about to be about to be in the county, Atlantic County. Come down here to this shore area. We love you guys. We got Atlantic City. We got beaches. We got private beaches. We got economic development going all over the place. We got minority businesses. Come on down here. Come down here and hang out with us, down here in South Jersey. From all over the world, wherever you're from, you guys know what it is. We are open for business. And if you're an investor, please come talk to me. If you're a minority investor, you have minority money and you're interested in investment, we have some exciting economic development programs going on. We have grants going on. We have malls being redeveloped and areas being redeveloped. Listen, just come on down here. Come on down here. don't say that, Egg Harbor Township is not open for you if you don't give it a try. We're open. This county is open. So come on down, have some fun, and get some of the Southern hospitality.
Exactly. And we want to thank you for coming on. We know you're a busy guy, and we look to support you. And we appreciate.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, brother. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, man. Take care. Appreciate you. All right, man. Yeah, so I'm going to keep it rolling for another minute or two. Like I said, I encourage everybody, watch this because you don't want to miss this show. This is not a show about gossip. This is not a show that's going to tickle your ears. Rediscovering Black conservatism gives you content, something that you can run with, and community first. So what I want to tell people is please support my show. Please donate. You donate to my Cash App at Cash DTS 8686. Please, I don't care if it's 50 cents or $1. It'll go towards community first. If you look at my page, you'll see my pictures, my community work, and we're just here to work. And to all my Black conservatives, don't let them get the narrative on you, okay? You change the narrative. We got social justice Black conservatism. We got equity Black conservative. Don't let them steal the words and don't let them steal the narratives. We are the true enforcers of social justice. And that's all I got to say. Please support my channel. Thank you.